Hey traders, this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your recap for Thursday, April 27th. And big earnings after the close today. We'll go through some of those names just as we did yesterday. I have to say, pretty good across the board. A lot of the big names, the big heavy hitters, just like reported last night and this morning, as well as today after the close, seems like they're delivering. Of course, there's always going to be a couple things that people aren't going to like and pick out in each earnings report. But I think overall the expectations were really high. We kind of figured that out with a couple names that reported earnings this week. But I mean, Amazon completely crushed it, and really interesting trade that went up today. We talked about this in the trading room today. Somebody came in and was really bullish Amazon. I think a total of $22 million of notional that somebody bought for. It looks like there was a couple different trades that went up, but you actually have to go through a little bit further, and get through all the close to the money or close expiration options. But look at this trade that somebody's put up. This is the June, not this June, next June, 1650 calls. They came into these twice today, and just a colossal trade that somebody put on right before earnings. Over $22 million of premium. Now we don't know. We never know if somebody's substituting out of stock, right before earnings. But let's just play devil's advocate for a minute and say that they were speculating. I mean, they bought the 1650 strikes going out a year and a half. You know how much money that they're going to make on this trade? Unbelievable. So a move right now of up $100 on Amazon. And that's basically to the all-time high. Once I go to the daily chart, you're not going to see the price action update because it doesn't update post-market in Thinkorswim. But you could see we're right back to the all-time high. Just to go over a couple more results. Microsoft had really good numbers too. I'll start with them, but I don't really. I'll have to look into their. It's just after the close, so I did get all the details from Bloomberg from what they were saying, but Microsoft looked like they also had a monster beat too, and I don't really get the price action, but maybe there's something buried in here. Maybe something about the cloud revenue or something somebody took apart here. So maybe the capex spending was, something to that effect. But you look at their numbers, and 26.8 versus 25.8, 95 versus 85, they crushed it too. Same thing with Intel. So they are back. They, once they were down here, we were looking at this in the trading room, trading down to 90, 92. I was like, you got to be kidding me with the number that they threw up. But again, maybe there's something that I may have missed here. Intel, stellar. Intel numbers just hit the ball out of the park too. I'll bring up those numbers. Looks like I have to scroll back here a little bit, but 16.1 versus 15.1 billion dollars boost your forecast really strong. And then it's just a number of other companies did pretty well too. I won't go over each and every number. You could probably do that on your own, but Expedia. I would watch Priceline tomorrow. Western Digital, I think, had pretty good numbers too. They're actually coming in a little bit. We actually played STX today in the room. You can see it's getting a lift. I really like this chart. I did not send it out on the intraweb just to Tribeca Trade Group members, but we put all the chart setups in our private Twitter feed. I think I could probably show you what that looks like here. Let's see, do I have this up? But I'll show you the trade setup that we talked about here. Of course, that was the Amazon one. Yeah, so here's the entry that we talked about in STX. I think was a pretty good idea. Again, looking at this chart, so just so you can see it on the full screen, but made a high here, came into the 50-day moving average, real nice move here. And this is what I call confirmation, a bounce on the 50-day moving average and now moving back up here. So played this one. I did play a little trade in Amazon today. I sold some put spreads. I just didn't know what Amazon, nobody knows what Amazon's going to do. I sold put spreads, and I'm also long synthetically. I'm long in XLY, the consumer discretionary ETF. Why am I long that? Because it's a cheaper way to play it. it's a little bit of a stealthier move in this one. But you could see Amazon is 20% of XLY. It was very cheap to play Amazon synthetically through XLY. So that was my trade. I put that trade on in the beginning of the week because I was actually looking for a move into earnings for Amazon, which we didn't really get except for today. But that trade, I think I put on for what, 60 cents. It's now marking more than a double because it did trade till 415. And then I'm also long in a couple other places. I'm also long FDN, which is the internet ETF, and I'm long in cash, this name, and Amazon is also the biggest weight in this ETF, also at 9.6% in this one. So really, really strong numbers. Today's option activity, what's pretty interesting is you're getting a chance to kind of buy names that have good quarters or decent quarters that an analyst may pick apart with a fine-tooth comb and figure out that they may not like something, and the stock gets pummeled. LMT, a couple traders played this off of the bounce off the 200-day moving average. I played Raytheon today. Raytheon did very well. I mean, basically off the lows. I just thought from going from the high of 230 down to 204 was a little bit unnecessary considering how strong of a quarter that they put up. So there's been some decent plays. I also bought a little bit of FCX today. I mean, these moves they're just punishing a little bit too. They're a little bit, I think, stupid. So again, for a trade, not an investment, for a trade, but I played FCX on the lows today. I think I bought some calls for. Where did I buy some calls for? 60 cents, and I sold some for 73. So a nice move there. What else did we do today in the trading room? Put together some nice trades. Got long, mentioned consumer discretionary, but altogether just a nice move. Oh, I wanted to talk. I know what I want to talk about now. So I had an appearance with Bloomberg yesterday. You can find this here, someplace. Here you go. Mr. Eric Balchunas sent out the link. What I talked about was, what we've been seeing in relative strength in the software names, application, enterprise, infrastructure names. These names have been, despite, of course, like Facebook being in the headlines and ad revenue coming under the microscope, really the group that's been super, super strong. That kind of gave us a nice signal that first of all there's names that are holding up very, very well, and then also it just seemed like it was kind of a short term. These names can correct and not stay strong all the time. So this is the index that we put out. It's 49 names. I mean, look at how strong this thing has been. It's not at the all-time highs, but where is the correction? I guess you had the correction in May down to the 100-day moving average, but really, really strong. And again, this is names like you can see some of the components in here. Just today, ServiceNow was strong, Square was strong, Zen was strong today, up 3.7%. Shop, Splunk, Red Hat, NTNX. So really, this is where I think the biggest strength has been in this market. I saw somebody the other night talking about how tech it could be dead. Like, that's such a stupid statement to make because, first of all, tech is a lot of different areas, right? I mean, it's a lot of different things. I mean, you can't just say the FANG stocks are tech. First of all, Netflix and Amazon are consumer discretionary names. They're not tech names. But there's so many different pockets of strength. I think whoever is who made that conclusion, which I won't call out, I think is really was very short-sighted with saying that tech could be dead. First of all, there's just again a lot of different business segments, and you have to analyze these companies individually. And if you did your homework, and went through and saw what strength. So this is the ETF. Also that tracks software. This is it actually tracks a few different areas, but mainly software, which is what I talked about on Bloomberg yesterday. Really, really strong. So I think you just needed to get your head out of your what and just kind of take a look at where the strength has been in this market and not go by, of course, what's being played on financial media. Financial media is there to sell ratings, right? To boost their ratings, not to make money. So different than what we do. We analyze and take a look at price, use price as our number one indicator, and just notice where the strength is in this market. So it just, again, nobody has a crystal ball, but it just didn't seem like the whole market was going to break down when you have this type of strength. Now, there's still a lot of issues for us to get through. I've been conservative, for the last couple weeks, and just kind of taking shots where I think it made sense. So, I'm not coming out and declaring victory, but there could be another tweet, there could be another headline about China tariffs that are which could bring the market down. But I still think. I think when the market flushes for a couple of days, gives us a really good place to kind of at least put on short-term trades, which is what I've been doing in the trading room. So that's it. Option activity was I would have to say, again, it's not all about option activity, especially around this time. You have to be able to look at some other things. Option activity is really just I think is again a great indicator of sentiment and people adding risk. But if you're just watching the tape and waiting for call activity, you're really missing out. Home Depot, a good example of that. Home Depot up 4.7%. No calls in Home Depot. You just kind of have to study the setups here a little bit and really be patient with some of these trades that we talked. We talked about Home Depot a lot today in the trading room. So that's basically it. And the one thing that I know, again, I'm not making any predictions, but the one thing that I know is swing trading during earnings season every quarter is extremely challenging. I always have in my notebook just a reminder, once we get to earnings season, be very careful taking risk. It a lot of times becomes a chop fest. It's very difficult to read. Again, all it takes is an analyst to kind of go through somebody's quarter and really take out one or two sentences that somebody said in a conference call and go through and just over dramatize that, and the stock gets crunched. So it's just very difficult to trade, especially options, but just trade in general around earnings season. You try to take the right risk return setups, but it's just better off kind of waiting and watching for names like Raytheon that gets beat up for no good reason, and then you go in and try to trade something that just doesn't look right to you. Being that this thing was down to 204 today, rebounded $6-7 today from the lows. So nice trade that we had today. All right, so that's it for today's recap. Have a great night, everybody. Go Giants in the draft. Should be a great draft tonight. Giants pick number 2. I hope they trade down. Thanks very much and have a good night.